Well, the thing that's popping for us now is the company is taking advantage of the reasonable cause testing language in our contract. They can basically, say your eyes are red or you're acting funny. Each of them confirms it with the other, and at that point, they trigger the testing procedure. And if they do so, you can be terminated for refusing the test, but you will be terminated for failing the test as well. And the big issue with that is marijuana.
The facts, dates, and events presented in this video are from the member's best recollection and may not be fully accurate. This video is intended for entertainment purposes only. Always consult with your local union about your rights and duties at your workplace. The opinions shared on this video are our own and do not necessarily represent my employer's positions, strategies, or opinions. All views shared are protected under the National Labor Relations Act.
What is going on, everybody? So today I have Norman out of 63 in Philly and Greg out of Boston, local 25. And we were originally going to be covering a video about the contract. I'm trying to do that at least one day or one video every month covering the contract because it's such an important topic. But we have a more important topic right now because I was talking to Norman today, and right now there's a lot of low-hanging fruit of discipline that the management's using against the members. And we can't have a contract without the members. So this goes ahead of the contract right now, but we will get to it. So with that being said, when I say low-hanging fruit of discipline, we're going to first start talking about the discharge discipline, the cardinal infraction discipline. Then we'll talk about the warning letters. So talking about the discharges that could happen, Norman, I'm going to throw it to you first. What are some of the low-hanging fruits that you've seen of discharges?
The low-hanging fruit that I've been seeing are the signature required packages. To UPS's credit, and I hate to give them credit, but for the past 2 months, they've been telling everyone, hey, if it requires a signature, get a signature. Don't fraud any signatures. If you're signing for packages, stop signing, get a signature. And for some reason, there are some drivers that just can't seem to grasp that. Either it's, okay, I feel as though I'm doing UPS a favor and getting rid of the package, I'm signing for it, or they're just not getting a signature at all. They're using the driver release. And when you use a driver release when it needs a signature, it automatically populates an alert to UPS management. So UPS, you're giving UPS a freebie in order to fire you, to take you off the job for a week or two, because they're telling us to get a signature, you have to get a signature.
Greg, when we talk about the low-hanging fruit of discipline and we're talking about discharges, what are some of the things that you're seeing out of Boston?
Well, the thing that's popping for us now is the company is taking advantage of the reasonable cause testing language in our contract. For those of you that don't know, that language requires that management observe behavior. The two members, allegedly trained members of management, observe behavior and determine that there's a reasonable cause to test someone for drugs or alcohol. What that amounts to in practice is they can basically, say your eyes are red or you're acting funny. Each of them confirms it with the other. And at that point, they trigger the testing procedure. And if they do so, you can be terminated for refusing the test, but you will be terminated for failing the test as well. And the big issue with that is marijuana. People think that because it's legal in many states, that it's no big deal. But as drivers, we fall under DOT rules, and as employees, we fall under company policy. You can't be using marijuana. Marijuana stays in your system for a long period of time. Even if you're using it on the weekends, they test you on Friday, the following Friday, you're still going to come up positive. So it's something that's easy for them. They can do it very quickly. And people are very casual about discussing their marijuana use or may even be using it with members of management. So it's common knowledge. So they can basically pick and choose who they want to single out for this. So you have to make a choice. You're either going to smoke marijuana or you're going to work at UPS. Because if you try to do both, certainly in the environment we're in right now, they're going to nail you and you're going to end up losing your job.
We're moving on to lunches. Now, Norman, what have you seen as far as improperly recording your lunch?
I've seen things, it can vary. I've seen a guy get a discipline because I'll give you an example. He punches out for lunch at 12 after his last delivery stop. He drives 15 minutes from his last stop, still on his delivery area, has his hour and 10, and then he punches back into work, but it takes him, for whatever reason, 10 to 15 minutes to get to his next delivery. So the company is looking at that, okay, you stole time from us because you have a 10 to 15-minute gap from when you punched back in for your lunch to your next, I guess, productive move. So what I've been telling guys is if you punch out for lunch and you drive, stay on your delivery area, but just be sure you're back at the next stop. Reasonable time. Okay, nobody I can see in the right mind saying, okay, you took 5 minutes to get to your next stop. But 10, 15 minutes, guys are getting hammered for that constantly.
Absolutely. And so, with that being said, we're going to move on to the warning letters side of things, of the low-hanging fruit of warning letters. What are some of the easy pickings for management when it comes to warning letters, Greg?
From my perspective, the easiest picking thing is attendance. Not only because they can get you easily and there's really no argument, but also because they can work you up the ladder of progressive discipline very quickly. If you are showing up late to work, if you're booking off on a regular basis, they have the records. There's really not a whole lot you can argue as a steward or as an agent against that. You sort of have an obligation to show up to work and show up on time. And like I said, they can ramp it up. Once they give you that warning letter, you're late the next day, or you miss a day 2 days later, you're going right to suspension, right to termination. You can get yourself up to termination very, very quickly with attendance. Some of the other stuff, being in uniform, chaining up your back door, stopping at stop signs, stopping at red lights, just simple things, having your dyad in your hand when you're driving, cell phone in your hand, distracted driving stuff, little things. And a lot of the new drivers may not know these little things because management tends to overlook them when it's convenient for them, but it's no longer convenient for them. And so they're going to start disciplining for it. So if you're a newer driver, make sure you find out what you're supposed to be doing, get a copy of the methods. They're available online, and do what you're supposed to do out there and protect yourself.
Exactly. And when he talks about, having your diet in your hand and everything else, a lot of times management will just be hanging out outside the building doing observations. Many of you already know this, but it's their go-to thing. It's just easy pickings for them. They don't have to go far to find something. So when I talk about warning letters, Norman, what comes to mind?
Before we go to that, can I reference something that Greg said?
For sure.
He talked about stopping at the stop signs. We all know that all the trucks have telematics, and with the camera system analytics, it snitches on you for everything. Even when you're not doing anything, it's telling on you. So it can not only can telematics tell if you don't come to a complete stop. If you come to a stop sign and you think you stop and then you go and it goes down to 1 mile an hour, that is not a complete stop. I know as drivers, we all drove. We have to come to a stop. If UPS, I call it obstacles. We cannot do more work in less time, or do this more work in the same amount of time when they give us more and more steps. If they're telling you to stop, come to that complete stop, left, right, left. We're getting paid for all the time that we spend in the service of UPS. You may want to rush and get home, but that rushing to get home is not the worth. What, as UPS would put it, you have an accident, as we like to put it, don't lose your job rushing to get home 5 minutes earlier. Come to that complete stop, left, right, left. do it every time. Drill yourself every day. It may seem like a pain, but if you work as if management is following you constantly, you are less susceptible to make a mistake and you will always protect yourself. Now, what you were saying about warning letters, what we do in our local, we do several things. Since we took office in 2020, we've been aggressively going after the company, attacking the contract language, and doing everything that we can to fight for our membership. Our director of operations, Dino, he created a database of every piece of discipline that we get from the company, so we can reference it. So if a steward calls in and says, "Hey, does Joe Blow have any recent discipline?" Just because the company has it on their end, if we don't have it, we can win that case in a grievance. So we grieve and we fight everything. We encourage all of our stewards, even members, "Hey, can you check my discipline history? What's the last thing I got?" And the main thing is what the company is hesitant to fight us on, and what we know they're going to come after in these contract negotiations is the interpretation of the language for warning letters. The way we interpret it and the way it's written is all discipline has to be tied to a warning letter. So you can get a warning letter in January. It's active for 9 months, so up till September. So you can have progressive discipline on that warning letter. But once that warning letter falls off, the way we interpret it, that discipline falls off. So you could have been up to a 3-day suspension. I hope nobody gets there. Protect yourself. Don't get there. But once that warning letter falls off, the company has to start all over again. It essentially gives you a clean slate. So we challenge every discipline. Our labor managers, when we protest every warning letter, they don't want to hear grievances based on warning letters. They don't want to hear those. So what we do is we send a protest letter. If a discipline letter comes in, our director of operations automatically sends out, "We are protesting this letter." So if something comes of that, the company cannot say, "Okay, you didn't fight it then." We can always file our grievance because we sent you the protest letter. Here's our grievance. And it's timely because we did protest it. That's what we think of when we hear warning letters. We fight everything. And please, if you don't have a database, create a database and fight and grieve everything.
Well said. So, with all that being said, I know that some of you watch the channel regularly. Some of you are, every once in a while, and some of you may be new. And if you are one of the newer viewers or you didn't see last week's episode, I would highly advise you to watch it. Sean Williams comes on and talks about some more stuff to look out for in this time, during this time. So please check it out. That being said, we're going to get into shout outs now. Greg, who do you want to shout out today?
I'm going to shout out a new podcast that just came out called Upsurge. It's about the Teamsters at UPS and our upcoming contract fight. The first episode came out this week. Features Anthony Rosario and Antoine Andrews from Local 804 in New York City. I think it's a great thing. Hopefully they're going to do more of them. I invite all of you to check it out if you haven't, but more importantly, to share it with your friends and your family, because we are going to need public support in our contract fight, where we will not win without it. And the company is pushing propaganda. I saw more of it today about how wonderful they are to their employees. We need to counteract that with the truth. And so when your customers ask, tell them the truth. When people talk to you, on the weekends or whatever it is, tell them the truth. Tell them what it is like to work for this company and how they treat their employees, because we will need their support when we take them to the street.
Absolutely. And I checked out the podcast as well. Very well done. And, Rosario has always been a longtime friend of ours. He's always kicked ass. So shout out to him. And great job to Antoine and everybody else involved in that podcast. And I'm going to give a shout out to another podcast out of 804, and that's the What the Heck Show, which is appearing the day that this is released. It'll appear at 2 o'clock, so check it out. All right. I'm going to throw it to Norman. Norman, what shout outs do you want to give out tonight?
All right, I want to shout out to you, Dave, and to you, Greg. Thank you guys for allowing me to join you and being on here on a Friday night at 10:22. It's important that we keep coming together. It's important that we inform membership, but I also want to shout out to all UPS Teamsters. we would not be here if not for the people before us. So we have to take that responsibility. We have to get every Teamster to reach out and teach someone who doesn't know. We have to protect ourselves, protect our livelihoods, protect our jobs. And to every UPS Teamster out there, go out there, go after Amazon. They are not our enemy. They are working people like us. Tell them about the Teamster way. Tell them about your pay. Tell them about your benefits. Give them a reason to want to join us and enjoy in this labor movement fight, because we know they're being abused. We have to level the playing field because that monster is going to try to take us all out. I just want to thank you guys and thank all the Teamsters out there.
That's perfect. Yes, exactly. And, you know, this is a big time for us, and it's important that we all get involved. And I know that, you know, Upsurge is a new podcast. We should probably, if we haven't done so, we put it on the Teamster Media Hub, right, Greg?
Not yet, no. I have
Okay.
not.
Well, we're going to put it on there. And if you want to create something, you're more than welcome to use my disclaimer on this video. And, you know, we love seeing new content. We love seeing people getting the membership engaged. It's all about us coming together and trying to get the best contract we can possibly get. So, and shout out to these wonderful gentlemen coming on here. It is 10:23 at night. They had to deal with my ass for over an hour trying to get my camera to work correctly. So that is awesome. And, you know, I got to thank everybody else that check out this channel and share it. You know, it's great to see that people really do care and want to get this membership engaged. And, you know, we're out here just trying to help some people. So awesome. Thank you guys so much. Anyways, with that being said, I'm going to call it. Have a good night. Watch out for next week's episode. We will be talking about the upcoming contract, and we're going to be doing regular videos on that. So stay tuned. All right. Have a good night. See ya. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe. We release a video every Sunday talking about the nuttiness of this workplace.